Hi there, my name is Elsiane and I'm the singer and songwriter of the band Elsiane.
How you doing? I'm Steph from Elsiane.
Well, the process of this record was a bit different than the other previous ones because I was writing for a soundtrack at the time, a science fiction book called Ring, Tongue and Donor by Rich Chaparro. And I was working on 2 albums at the same time, so it was very interesting. I had a bunch of songs that didn't make the cut for the soundtrack, so I took a chance and I showed some songs to Steph, and he was like blown away with the material. So that's how it all started, the process with the new record. I ended up showing him a song called Sinai, which was the first song. And from then he worked on it, and it was amazing. I mean, everything just was flowing so well. This time around I showed him songs that were a bit more polished and more finished in terms of arrangements and stuff, so it made his job easier too to write the parts. And then we just started doing song after song, and after we presented the songs to David. But it was a good 1.5 years of process of creation and finding out what the songs needed, and yeah, it was an interesting process.
Process was, spanned over a couple of years. Ideas of the songs came out through, songs that Elsiane had. Elsiane is like a machine. She has a hard drive in her head with dozens and dozens and dozens of songs. And in 2018, we started to sort of dabble a little bit with these songs, and the creation process was definitely long, but obviously throughout the last 5 years, we've definitely been handling different sides of the coin, so the process was definitely long, but again, all good things.
Yeah, this time around we were very blessed to have amazing musicians with us. One of them is Pedro Eustache, which is a virtuoso duduk player and flute player. And it was really an honor to have him with us. It was really a miracle that he was available. He worked with Yanni and Hans Zimmer and different soundtracks, so he made this song, Traces of the Heart, very special. We also have Trey Gunn, who worked with us on Sinai and also Traces of the Heart. He plays the war guitar, the bass, and the chapman stick. He's really another amazing musician who played with King Crimson and other jazz players. Very unique musician. And also Tony Gray, who's an amazing bass player. He worked with Hiromi, Karshkel, and he did an amazing job with the song Tu Mirada. Really amazing tracks. And the last musician who's with us is Caroline Planté, which is a virtuoso also guitar flamenco player. She's an amazing musician, and really blessed to have her with us. She played on the song Tu Mirada.
We basically had some world famous musicians playing with us. Some incredible, real, again, legends. Pedro Eustache, one of the best flute players, a wind instrument player. He played the duduk on this album, really incredible. Trey Gunn, which I'm a huge fan of, from King Crimson, playing the war guitar. Tony Gray, a bass player that we had on our previous album, and Caroline Planté, who was just an incredible flamenco classical guitar player who really brought a lot of color and a lot of life into the project.
This song actually is very special to me because for many years everybody was asking me to record a song in Spanish, and I just never seemed to be the right timing until I saw this amazing flamenco show in Montreal. That's where I met Caroline Planté, and I saw her show and I was so inspired. And I said, man, what if I did a song in Spanish in a flamenco style? So that kind of sparked the whole idea of that song. But the first idea that came to mind was the riff, the one that goes that's the riff that happened, and then all of a sudden just everything happened so naturally after that riff. So yeah, that song was almost like a channeling experience for me because it just came so fast. It wasn't really thinking too much. I usually don't write in Spanish because I have to be more poetic, Like in English, it's easier to write songs, but this time around it came out really nice, and the song is it tells about the, you know, facing yourself and confronting yourself and facing the truth and accepting who you are.
Initially, Elsiane had showed me a sort of like demo way back when we were doing the Rintong and Dorner project, and to be honest with you, I hadn't even noticed at first. I mean, I knew that I knew that it was in Spanish, but for me, the language is, you know, it's just music. So I wasn't even really conscious, to be honest, the fact that it was in Spanish. And once, you know, we started getting into it more, and I was hearing Elsiane talking about the song and the lyrics and how she didn't want to make them sort of like cheesy, like, because in Spanish it's like everything's romanticized. Then it sort of took on another shape. But for me, to be honest, it didn't really make a difference to me. But now you can really hear that it's striking, and yeah, I mean, it's all good things for sure.
Working with David was a very special experience, a unique experience. I mean, he has a special talent to see what the artist has to give, but he brings it to the next level, you know? He's always looking out for what's best for the song and respects the vision of what the artist wants. He doesn't impose, and that's the reason why we wanted to work with him, because we saw the previous work he did with Peter Gabriel, with Tool and other bands that we like, and he always keeps their sound, you know, like the integrity of the band. So, I mean, I've worked with other producers that's not the case, you know, they impose their ideas and stuff. So with him, it was very easy going on that sense, and he's very open-minded to my ideas, to what I had to say, and that made it very pleasant. I mean, he's so professional and always comes with his charts, you know, and knows exactly what he wants when he's recording. So it made things very easy. And I always encourage musicians, you know, to work with producers or people to collaborate that will take you to the next level, because you need to be also outside of your box, get out of the comfort zone. And for me, that's what it was working with David. The biggest lesson he taught me too was to let go of things I can't control, and let go of old ways of working, you know. I had to adapt a lot, so that was a blessing. And of course, working during COVID times, it wasn't easy, you know, to be in the studio and everything, but it forced us to do things in a different way and let go of many things. But the result was amazing. I think he did an incredible job mixing the record and making it sound so special, and gave us a fresh sound. So very, very blessed and grateful to have worked with him.
David Bottrill is a hero of mine. He recorded two of the greatest albums of all time, in my opinion. So for me, it was a dream come true, an unreal experience in our careers. Really, it was a little bit weird at first because I was a little bit of a fanboy, but we started working. It was so cool. One of the highlights of our career, to be honest, because in my opinion, he's one of the best. And in 2007, I know that he had mentioned us to somebody that we knew from an A&R, from a label at the time, kind of complimenting us. For us, when we heard that, many years ago, we were just kind of a little bit giddy, not really realizing he's a Canadian producer. And it really was incredible, and I have the utmost respect for him. And not to make a super long answer, but he came to the rehearsal space and he watched us jam about 3 songs, and he was sitting there with his notepad and he started charting out the whole song, and he was there and he said, "Can you play this again? Can you play that again? Well, what about this part? Why don't you do this with this?" And in my head, I was just kind of relishing in the opportunity to take advice, to trust a guy like that, And that's really the cool part of this project. Again, it's the freedom to explore, the freedom to take other roads that you might not have necessarily done that, because we have trust. And incredible experience, probably one of the best in my career.
Well, definitely when you do a record, you're always going to face some challenges. But for us this time around was, I think, very interesting what happened, because in 2020 I was stuck in Peru during COVID, during the making of the album. So that made it a bit stressful to know what was going to happen. So that was one of the first challenges that was very stressful. And then we had obviously losing 3 members of our family was very, very difficult, and took us a long time to get over like the mourning, and we're still in the process actually. But we lost Steph's parents and also Rob Heaney, who was our right hand. That was very challenging for us. Another of the challenges was to Stefan was dealing with a knee injury, and right before we got into the studio he was in serious pain, so we weren't sure he was going to be able to track the record, but thank God he came through. He was suffering actually while he was recording, but at the same time it made the track special. And the last challenge was also working during the COVID times. Actually, it was very, very hard for us to mix the record, to work with David at a distance. It felt impossible, but I think when things are like that, it forces you to find creative ways to work around it. It wasn't pleasant, but at the end we were very proud of the result, so it was great at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, there were many challenges from all sorts of different areas. Obviously, the process was a little bit different, this time around. These days, a lot of people work remotely, and obviously, all of 2020 was kind of done like that, which was, it was challenging because you want to be there, you want to kind of, touch it and feel it and grab it, and sometimes it's a little bit harder when you got to work from a distance. It was also, everything that we were going on, in our environment, with COVID and all that crap, people being locked down. But, we had, some, personal challenges in our personal lives. We had some, physical injuries. We had a lot of kind of crap sort of mounting to make things a little bit more difficult. We would have loved to, release more when we released our first single in 2020. But there was something telling us that it wasn't the right time, and we were going to kind of wait. But yeah, there were many challenges for sure. But without those, the album probably wouldn't be what it is. So yeah.
Well, it's hard to say that there's one favorite song. I mean, I love them all, but I have to definitely say that the first favorite one has to be Fading Star, which is a song that was recorded by Rob Heaney. We were facing the times of COVID, and we couldn't really meet with David, so we ended up recording with Rob, and it was really amazing. It was a very special recording because it was just me and him in the studio, and for the first time I said, man, we should have done this a long time ago like this, because there was always an assistant engineer with us, so we always had to have different people in the team, but this time it was just me and him. It was very special because it was such an emotional song, and now looking back at it, it makes me very sad, because it was the last time we recorded together, and this song will be definitely dedicated to him. It was very special. Yes.
Would have to be the song called Traces of the Heart. Kind of encompasses the last 20 years of our career kind of thing. We have Pedro Eustache on there. We have Trey Gunn. We just have this mix, this beautiful blend of all of this kind of history. It just feels like a song that it's just an instant Elsiane classic song. So for sure that will be my favorite. But to play it would probably be Tu Mirada, the Spanish song. But definitely I think my favorite song would be Traces of the Heart.
Well, I mean, every record is different, You're never going to have the same album be produced twice, even though people love that when you do the same thing. But it's impossible because you always evolve, you grow as a human being, you grow as a musician. But I have to say, this record definitely has a lot of a bit of everything from the previous albums. You know, it has a bit of hybrid, a bit of Mechanics of Emotion, a bit of Death of the Artist, and you guys will probably know what songs I mean, but it's similar but at the same time different. So it makes it unique because it's a resume in a way of our career, of all the 20 years we've been together. It combines a lot of stuff, and especially the evolution, you know, in us as musicians, in the production. I mean, having David was a blessing in a way because it brought a new sound to our music, you know. So yeah, there's been definitely a lot of growth in this record. I hope you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, well, we got many years between each album, right? So naturally, you know, you're gonna change, you're gonna explore, and like I said earlier, you know, we have the freedom to do whatever we want to do. We don't really like to go back, and we don't like to go back in time. There's a pretty big difference, you know. I think that we try to challenge ourselves. You know, every album that came along, there were new challenges. We tried to, you know, make things, you know, maybe a little bit more sometimes. We wanted to add, you know, a lot of different elements, a lot of different things. There's definitely been a pretty big, I would say, you know, an evolution, you know, to our music. However, I think we always kind of kept the formula intact, where, you know, there was always this kind of sense of digging into something a little bit more, you know, a little darker, and you know, having this kind of like self-reflection thing happening. So for sure, musically, a lot has changed, but I think our principal nature kind of stayed the same, and our sort of principal formula always kind of stayed intact. So yeah.
Well, after Death of the Artist, we went through a lot of changes. One of them was losing Stefan's father, which was very tough for us. And that kind of sparked us to say, okay, we have to keep going. He would have wanted us to keep going, so let's go back into the studio, let's record. That was one of the main inspirations for sure. And the other one was the fans, of course, because they always want us to keep going, and they're so supportive throughout the years, so we can't let them down. So we just let's go, you know. Even though it was a very tough year, we even went to Europe and toured, but when we got back, we went straight to the studio and started working on Sinai.
Yeah, like I said earlier, when we did Death of the Artist, we were also doing a side project, Rintang and Dorner, with Rich Shapiro, which we had, you know, a whole bunch of songs for that. So when we released Death of the Artist, a year later we released the sort of like the side project, and we kind of wanted to just explore, you know, new horizon for us, explore you know, different musicians. Obviously, we wanted to work with a producer like David Bottrill. We wanted to get that, you know, feedback. We wanted to get that, you know, outside opinion, which we kind of hadn't had for a while. So, you know, I mean, we kind of like pulled strings, you know, and like Elsiane reached out to David Bottrill and kind of like asked him if, you know, he would be into kind of doing this. And I mean, that for us gave us such a huge inspiration to really, you know, dive again, and to kind of like go back and you know, rework also a couple of songs that we had kind of put in the safe for a while. So yeah, I mean, we also had, you know, some, you know, death in the family. We had, you know, personal issues, and, you know, again, we're that kind of band that works through our issues with music. So it was a kind of like good timing, I guess you could say. Everything kind of came into place, and came into the right vibe, I guess, you know.
Well, this record for me represents, you know, a time in our lives where we have to learn to face ourselves and accept who we are. I mean, we've evolved so much and we've made it to this point, you know, it's like a milestone for us. So for me, the message is really about that, facing the truth, facing your own truth, also facing what needs to be worked on or resolved, like stop hiding or stop avoiding the truth, you know, it's really about that. because the more we do that, you're true to yourself, and you can keep going in a harmonious way, you know. Because I find every time we're avoiding that, and it doesn't help, you know. So yeah, facing yourself and being honest with yourself and accepting who you are and be at peace. That's the real message of this album.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think that the message behind this album would be very similar to the general message, the general vibe of Elsiane, which is like, you know, man has an inability to sit in a room for 30 minutes alone, you know, and I think that there's a sort of self-reflection that we wanted to sort of portray. People just don't really take the time to take a good look in the mirror to kind of see who it is, you know, to kind of deal with their own problems, to come face to face with themselves. And I think that that's it's a sort of staple. I think that Confucius, the philosopher, said that, you know, all of man's problem stems from the fact that he can't sit in a room for 30 minutes alone by himself, you know, without his cell phone, without his television, without, you know, any kind of distraction. And I think that we're just living in a society that's just overly, overexcited, you know, desensitized to everything. And I think that we kind of hope that, you know, this music kind of gives a little bit of that spark to kind of do a little bit of soul searching, I guess you could say. So that's kind of like, you know, I guess the message, but I mean, everyone brings their own experience to the music. So for me, you know, the message goes as far as, you know, where you can take it. Everybody brings their own beliefs, they bring their own view to what it is that they're listening to. So they're going to make their own message, but, you know, in the end, this music is very symbolic and again touches on a lot of those again those self-reflective, trying to find a way to grow, to pull yourself out of that, you know, darkness, which a lot of people feel very vulnerable in that state. We've always been okay with that. We've always used music as a therapy. So again, that would pretty much, you know, sum it up, I think.
Well, right now for me, it's been a one day at a time thing because I've been recovering from a very severe car accident. As you guys can see, you know, I'm wearing glasses and this, and it's been a good 6 months of recovery. I'm still not out of the woods, but I've been very grateful, and it's really a miracle that I'm here because it could have been gone who knows how, but very grateful to be here. So right now, I'm gonna get back into things slowly. For sure, things are going to keep going on, but I have a mission also to work a bit more into sound healing. I would like to do that, and as well as work into more soundtracks, movie soundtracks and stuff, and we'll see. We'll take it one day at a time, but I'm very grateful to have you guys with us, and thank you for your support all these years and for making this record possible, especially because it's been a tough one for us with all these challenges. But thank you so much, and yeah, stay tuned to what's coming. Thank you.
To be perfectly honest, honestly, I really don't know. I think that we're kind of in the process of kind of trying to take care of ourselves, you know, try to heal our wounds, you know, physically, you know, and emotionally. It would be nice to, you know, go back and, you know, play to our fans who have been supporting us again all these years. We always have that desire to go and play for them and to do shows for them. I think though, we really want to, you know, do things, you know, do things for us, do the right thing for us, what's best for us. So I really can't say. It's actually quite a mystery, to be honest. You know, we didn't start the band yesterday, so, you know, we've been around. We've been taking some time to, again, you know, clear our minds and to, again, discuss, you know, what we want and how we want to, you know, explore ourselves again and see where that goes. But, you know, for now, we're just taking it one day at a time, I guess.